I think I'm live here. Let me check myself. I am. So today I have a really special treat for ROI Live in 5, and I've got Mike Swenson here. So first and foremost, Mike has an amazing podcast that I want you to follow, and so we'll talk about that briefly, and we'll put a link to that in all of our Facebook world here. In addition, he's just a wealth of knowledge on the investing or in the investing world. Stephen and I have at some point will give Mike some money to help us invest more and bigger and better things because that's what he's doing. We just gotta get some more under our belt here. But Mike, explain really quickly what you've been doing. So just for the last couple of years where you had your own team, and I know that you've kind of combined again. Just walk us through what you've been doing and why this is, like a passion project for you now.
Yeah, so I started out admin and ops world, right? And that's obviously how I'm here with Ciprani and have excitedly been working with Ciprani for 3 years now.
Yeah.
But I decided kind of COVID, I wanted to start my own team and build my own destiny on the real estate side. And so did that and then pretty quickly just realized I liked working with investors for a lot of the stuff that we'll talk about here. And so I switched from residential to investor focused only, worked with a lot of investors buying small multifamily. And what ended up changing was interest rates went up. A lot of my investors said, "Hey, I'm just going to wait until the rates come down," which fast forward, that hasn't happened yet. And so
We're
I
still
looked up and I said, "How can I
waiting.
make decisions on finding good deals and buying good deals that I want to buy, independent of what my investors wanted to do?" And so we stumbled across a 25 unit apartment building in 22, worked with an investor and bought it. And now that's fast forward. Now here we are in 2026. We just closed on a 130 unit apartment building for 6.6 million. And in total, we have close to $15 million in apartment buildings. We've raised over $5 million and about 390 units. And so it's just because I've looked at how can I work smarter, not harder, and focus on the real estate side that's building wealth versus just being transactional, slinging houses. And so,
Yeah, which is awesome. And that's what today's all about, right? Is like if you are, I mean, so obviously we've got a real estate focus, but listen, all of my leaders out there, all of our small business owners that follow us, like this is for you too, right? You can create wealth through real estate. And so we do want you to dial in because there's some really neat things you could do instead of a 401k with somebody like Mike to help your employees stick around. And we may have to do, we were talking, we might have to do a number of these for Mike because
mhm.
there's just so much that you can talk to them about. But today we do want to talk about how there is a massive ROI. And I was saying, God, like 10 times 50, I mean, just a huge ROI if in the real estate world we stop, just slinging deals, like you said, over and over again, and start to look at every deal that comes across our plate as a potential one that we might buy, right? And so being able to work with investors and have them to be able to give them possible deals or even for those deals to become ours, man, that's where some magic happens, I think, in the real estate world, don't you think?
Yeah, and for me, it just started with I got a deal calculator
Yeah.
and I started talking with people that wanted to buy investment properties because I figured I would learn, right?
Yeah.
So I would work as an agent, sell homes or help my investors buy homes, see what they like, why they like it, how they analyze deals and run their numbers. And so I was kind of just on the job training, shadowing them and learning from them. And so that's how it got started. And so I would, go on the MLS every day, see what new multifamily properties came in, plug numbers into my deal calculators, and then send out to them, "Hey, this might be a good deal. This might be a good deal." And then I'd hear their feedback of, "No, I don't like that. I don't like that location. This has, too many capital expenditures." And so then I started to learn how they think, and it helped me get sharper on finding what makes a good deal. And so that was really the start for me. And I tell people it's like going to the gym. I'm not going to go to the gym for the first time and pick up a 100-pound weight. I'm going to
Yeah.
start with 5 pounds or 10 pounds. And so it's building that muscle. And so for me, it was go on the MLS, plug deals into a deal calculator and start to see what does a good deal actually look like. And then my investors would say, yeah, I want to do that. Let's go write an offer. And that happened really quickly. And so for you guys looking to add some deals to your pipeline, when they find a good deal, they're going to buy it and they're probably going to fix it up and maybe sell it at some point. And so you find a couple of those, you can add some transactions onto your totals every single year, consistently year over year, because investors want to keep buying.
They want to keep buying. And listen, we had kind of like we were like, how do we bring this into like how do we, give you guys 3 points? We essentially said three reasons why it creates, ROI here. So like you can control the opportunity flow, right? You can create wealth and not just income. Like that's like it's just such a huge one. There's just a whole slew of things we can do around that. But then the third one, which we touched on a little bit before we came live, was that you can stabilize your business. And so, Mike, you were saying to me, gosh, like you could look for two investors who might want only two deals for the year, and boom, you've got, deals in the pipeline, right? And so, like,
Mhm.
stabilizing your business, like, I mean, that just gets people off the roller coaster a little bit. But so many people I talk to don't want to work with investors. Like, how did you kind of figure out which ones and like what what that looked like for your business?
Yeah, for me, it came down to, and obviously I do this full time now, so
Yeah.
I'm out of kind of more the residential side.
Yeah.
Um, it was a better fit for my schedule and for my family. Investors, the ones that I worked with, lived out of state. They were understanding of more of a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday schedule. And
Mhm.
so if I found a good deal that I wanted to go see, since I was helping them in a different state, I would just go schedule a showing, pull up my phone, take pictures and a video, send it to them in a Google Drive. And when 5 o'clock hit, I got to go be with my family. So I've got three boys. I coach them in sports. I didn't want to have to be showing homes on nights and weekends and say, hey, it's Friday night. This new house came up. Can we go see it Saturday morning when my kids have a baseball tournament Saturday morning? So it fit with my schedule. And so that's why I was willing to be more flexible and kind of jump in and learn that side. And then from there, yeah, I got to go to showings by myself, give them my input, and if they liked it, we wrote offers that day, and so it would be, it's not like, hey, it might take a month of showings or something like that. When they see a good deal and it comes across the desk, you might wake up that morning and write an offer at night. And that could happen multiple times. And so I liked that aspect of it was quicker and it's less emotional.
Mhm.
Now that being said, to the flip side, if something doesn't look right on the numbers, they're out, and so you lose at that point. But it's less emotional, and then you didn't have to worry about move-ins and move-outs because you worked with investors and they had vendors that helped with that stuff. And a lot of times too, you're buying properties where there's already tenants there, so you don't have to worry about a lot of those pieces too that a traditional sale comes with.
Hmm. And I love all of that. I mean, that means you got really clear on with the analyzer, right? And by the way, he was saying that for a deal calculator, like he would let you guys have access to one, which is awesome. So I'm excited about that. But like how long did it take you to get clear around like, okay, this is an investor that I want to work with because they're willing to jump at like these numbers, and then it wasn't like you were going to see a bunch of homes and writing a bunch of offers that where you were lowballing all the time. Like, how did you kind of drill that in? Because that's the piece that I hear all the time. Well, I go look at these and then they're making me write these really lowball offers when there's like 10 other offers right now in today's market. How did you kind of figure that out?
I think it's just being clear on your expectations and be
Yep.
clear on your time with them.
Mm.
What I will say is, to some point, they're not as loyal to you; they're loyal to the deal, right?
That's
And
yeah.
so you also have to be aware of that. We had an investor where we wrote on a $2.5 million apartment building. They ended up not moving forward, and then they found another apartment with somebody else, and they left me, and that's part of the game, right? I
Yep.
knew that going in. We wrote a non-exclusive contract because that's what they wanted. So you win some and you lose some, but I think it's just being very clear of what can you offer for value. I will hunt for deals. I will run the numbers. I will send you ones that are kind of pre-screened, pre-vetted that I think could work.
Yep.
If you like how it looks, great. We'll go schedule a showing. We can go do that together. If it's somebody out of state, I do it myself. And then be realistic with them about where the market's at. Okay. If you want to write lowball offers, great. Maybe I go see the property after we have an accepted offer. Now, some sellers
Yeah.
won't accept your offer until you've seen it too, because they also see the other side of that coin. So I think it's just being clear on your expectations. And then you also learn when you bring them good deals, if they write or not. I had one investor where I was super excited. They were so friendly and nice. They said they were really motivated. And every time I brought them a great deal, it was, well, this is really great, but. And then it was this or it was that or it was something else. Well, pretty quickly, I stopped sending them deals because I knew they weren't being serious. The ones that are serious by writing offers and following through on those offers. And so, it's a little bit of dating, right? You're just meeting and feeling each other out and being clear with expectations of what you're willing to do. And obviously, early stages, you're willing to do a lot more, but they value your time and they value your ability to go hunt for them because a lot of them are working full-time jobs. And so you get to do a lot of the front-end work that they don't have to do by finding deals, pre-screening them, vetting them out, and essentially handing them to on a silver platter. Hey, is this one that you would like? If it is, great, we can write on it. But yeah, to your point, that's the downside is there's a little bit of a rat race with that. But on the flip side, I'm doing that 9 to 5, not 9 p.m. And I can put my kids to bed. So
I love that. Well, the so we'll wrap this up. However, here's the deal. You'll get the calculator. We're going to tag his podcast in there. What's the name of the podcast again, so everybody knows?
so it's Real Freedom, and it's spelled REL because it stands for Real Estate Leveraged Freedom.
Love it. So very worth a listen. Steve and I regularly listen to him. And here's the thing, what I want to say is if we just look at the business of real estate, right? I think a lot of times there's two different avenues that business owners in real estate decide not to go down. One of them is investors, and the other is rentals, right? So many people turn away rentals, which I think is so dumb because those become buyers. But like you could, in theory, start a, arm of your business for both of those and have regular deals that then become even bigger and more. And then at some point you transition into now we're going to look at every deal and are we going to buy it? Is this one for us? And, the moment that you guys do that, it's such a different business because then people are bringing you deals too, right? Because you become the investor, you're the one. Now, let me just ask this one question, because what I need you guys to know is, Mike is one of our consultants. He has a few spots open on his roster. So I would love for somebody to take advantage of this and have him come alongside of you and build some of this out. But I know for a fact that when you guys find a great deal and you're looking for more investors and more money, I'm guessing you have some drips and emails that go out to your database, and you have a pretty healthy database at this point. What does that look like for you? Is it like phone calls, emails, and like how do you kind of find the person for that home?
So right now where we're at, we're doing apartment buildings, so it's a little bit
A little bit
different.
different. Yeah.
Um, and so we do like two of those a year. So
Okay.
it's a unique difference. However, I just interviewed a guy for our podcast yesterday
Yeah.
that focuses on fix and flips in Boston and
Okay.
value add small multifamily properties. And so he's buying, dozens of those a year. And
Yep.
so I think it's for the investor. I say we're like an investor matchmaker, right? Every investor is different. If I was to invest in a stock, I would have different preferences of the types of companies or what situation, if it's a young startup, if it's tech, or if it's Warren Buffett, and any of his stuff that is more seasoned, right? So people have different preferences. It's no different on real estate. Just because I think something's a good deal doesn't mean it's a deal that somebody's wanting to invest in because it's what's the time frame? What am I going to get back? How risky is it? What location is it in? And so I'm looking for what is their profile of what do they like to invest in and what are they excited to invest in, and then I'm going to try to find a match for them. And so that's where I say I'm, kind of the matchmaker for an investor is find a deal that you're excited to invest in that's a fit with what your profile is for wanting to invest in real estate, and then we'll go find something that fits that. And so for me, a lot of the stuff that we send out, it's all educational. Why
Yeah.
invest, the benefits of investing, success stories of investing, deals that work out, deals that don't work out. But we're just talking about that because for so many people, it's a foreign concept, and even for agents,
Yeah.
it's a foreign concept. And so if
Yeah.
agents don't understand it, how can we expect non-agents to understand it too? So it's just
Yeah.
educational piece of why the benefits and what it can do for you in your life.
Awesome. All right. Well, so again, he can help you kind of figure out like how do you create a profile for these people? What are the questions you ask? The deal calculator, he can also help you figure out like, okay, what are the drips like when you're just starting out? How do we figure all those things out and what emails will get somebody to respond and how do you make sure that you're presenting the property that you've analyzed well, all that fun stuff. So a whole another arm of the business, like I said, and the biggest thing is that it gets you off the roller coaster, guys. And so does a rental, piece to what you do too. It really
Mhm.
does truly get you off that roller coaster. So, Mike, thank you so much for your time. I know when we went over, but again, I knew that it was going to be one of those ones. So, I appreciate you. We will do a
Yeah.
class with Mike really soon. We've got to figure out what that looks like, and if you are not in our school community yet, that is where you get everything for free. So there's a small annual fee, and that is $69 for the whole year. So totally worth it. And all of our classes are free in there. And then we do lots of stuff in there. But we will also charge outside of school, for Mike's class. So we'll have that coming to you soon. If you want to consult with him, give us a ring. Thanks so much,
Yeah.
Mike.
Thank you.
Bye.